Hey guys, welcome back to Everyday Athletes. This is a series that we're doing for JST where we sit down and chat to the awesome people that are on the program and what they're up to. This week, Coco helping me out here, Joe Taylor is kindly agreed after much work with the situation of his camera to sit down and have a quick chat. Get yourself comfy, go find what you need or do what you need to do.
That's what I'm thinking.
It's fine. I'm going to do a full-on montage of you getting ready. Okay, cool. How long did it take you to get set up?
Firstly, hello, but about 10 minutes just then.
You've got to get that lighting right.
You've got to get the lighting right, you've got to get your position right, and hopefully it doesn't look like I'm on an interview.
So Joe, I mean, we've known each other like kind of normally, but also through the gram for a long time now. But I don't actually know when you started with JST Compete. I just know that since I've known you, you've always been JST Compete.
Yeah, so I had to look back actually, it's been that long, I'd actually forgotten. And it was January 2018, so quite a long time ago now. But yeah, it's been a long time, and obviously sticking with JST says quite a lot about the programming.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's coaching you?
I haven't got a personal coach. I just follow the template, which is non-biased 2 sessions a day. So that seems to work for me and always has. So, and it's delivered pretty decent results, as you say, and this series mentions everyday athletes, and it's allowed me to sort of be up there and compete against some of the best in the UK.
Yeah, well, when you say every day, basically what that means is you're up there competing with the best in the UK, as you just said, but you also have a job and you also have a life like the rest of us. Talk me through that. I know the job's changed a little bit in recent times with COVID, but talk me through what you do. Yeah,
so much like yourself and your job's changed, mine has as well. I currently work at Jet2 and Jet2 Holidays as a partnerships manager with tourist boards and airports across Europe, and where meetings would be face-to-face to try and get through the language barrier and the Yorkshire accent. Now, of course, they're taking part on Zoom calls like this, or other video programs are available. But yeah, it's totally changed. I was in the office 5 days a week previous, now I'm at home 5 days a week. And I think it's difficult because you find yourself working longer hours because you're at home as well. And that's all just automatic. I'm not sure if you're the same.
Oh, I'm awful. I worked till like 11 o'clock the other night because I just got sucked into an edit. I was like, I'm in now. I want to get it done. But I mean, it takes its toll, doesn't it? Like this new way of working is so different, especially for like I'm certainly quite an extroverted person and not having that interaction. It's just, everything's so different.
Yeah, for me, it's not winding people up in the office and playing pranks on people. It's, you just miss that, like you said, interaction. Whether it's putting somebody off their own work for 10 minutes just because you're at the end of whatever task you were doing, or whether it's going and making the team a brew. It's just that camaraderie kind of, especially if you work in quite a large team, that you miss. And obviously those lunchtime dinner sessions and things like that. But the thing I miss the most is the excuse, I've got to leave work because I'm going to the gym.
I was going to say, yeah, how does it affect your training schedule? Because, I mean, people must go, oh, well, theoretically, you're at home, so you can just leave whenever you want to get into your gym. But, like, I know from my side of things, that's just not really true.
No, like you said, you find yourself doing something, and because you haven't got a specified time you need to be in the gym now if you're training at home, you find yourself not finishing it the next day, but finishing it that night. And staying maybe half an hour, 2-3 hours longer than you should, just to get that task finished. So you don't have to do it the next day because you can, and you don't have to make that commute home. And then in your mind, you've got a gym in your front room or in your garage, in my case, to go to, so it doesn't matter. Whereas in actual fact, working those extra hours probably isn't good for you mentally. So it's a tricky one to juggle, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I know you as well, working in the airline industry. I think anyone just needs to read a paper to know how hard that's been hit. Has that been a worry?
Definitely. I mean, I was put on furlough for 8 months earlier this year. And although everybody started calling me Fur Joe in my close friend groups, just because obviously I had nothing else better to do than train and do bits and bobs and upgrades around the house. That's how the name came about. But yeah, it does play on your mind every day. The first few months where we had that heat wave in April, May was fantastic. But then after that, you start to think, am I going to have a job? Am I going to go back to work? This is my dream job. Will I get another one the same? It starts every day just recurring through your mind and those thoughts. And it's not a nice thing to have. Although everybody thinks it is and you've got the time off, you do have those negative thoughts constantly running through your head. So although the 8 months was great, I was so glad, and I never thought I'd say this, to get back to work.
I mean, has the training and having that kind of consistency and routine helped, or as a time has it hindered?
I think for me, I'm quite a regimented person, and where I enjoy routine, and that's why might be why I've been a little bit more successful than maybe other people in my position that work as many hours in a day. Whereas for me, it's all about preparation and being prepared, or prepared to fail, as the saying goes. So whether it's having your meals prepped all week, through the week, just so you don't have to spend that time doing it, and you're not looking into the fridge and picking up the quickest thing, which is usually not the most healthy. Or whether it's having your gym clothes, something as simple as having your gym clothes out the night before, so you'll jump straight into them in the morning with no fuss, and you haven't got that excuse either of trying to find your gym clothes out. So it's about, for me, cutting out those excuses and remaining in that routine. But in terms of training, I usually train the same time every night, between 6 and 8, and try and stick to that. And it's got to be something, especially with work or something in my personal life, that crops up to make me miss that. Because training does play a big part in my mental state. I feel like I've got to train every day. I don't know if I'm chasing the endorphins or whether it's something else. But if I don't train, I don't feel the same. I don't know if you feel like that as well.
Yeah, I think anyone who trains regularly probably does feel like that. I think that's kind of a big part of why we do it, is it not?
Yeah, definitely. For me, it's more escapism, I suppose, as well. And especially in the current period, where there's so much going off, whether it's personally, in your career, academically, if you're studying. It's good to have that 1, 2, 3 hours a day where you're escaping all that and you forget about it, even if it hits you like a sack of spuds after you come back off it and you start thinking about all the things again.
You know what I find as well is, because we're now living at home all of the time in lockdown, we're working from home, we're I sit at my dining room table to do my job, actually escaping to my conservatory and being able to throw around some weights. I mean, I'm lucky that I converted my conservatory into a gym a couple of years ago. But to be able to do that just gives me a new place to go to, and it gives me a real, not just structures the day, but allows me to feel like I'm not just stuck in my house.
Yeah, I mean, I was speaking to a colleague yesterday, and I hadn't left his flat in the centre of Leeds since Monday. And I was like, how the hell are you managing? And he's like, oh, it's fine. Like, it's been raining, and I'm like, you can walk in the rain, you can go out and get some fresh air. He says, I've got a balcony. I'm like, oh my God, I'm glad I'm sort of not in his position. And I've seen your garage gym, not your garage gym, your conservatory gym, by the way, and it's pretty impressive, quite impressed with it.
For a small space.
Yeah, definitely. You've done well with the space you had.
Yeah. Well, it's very, very hot in the summer and it's exceptionally cold in the winter. So it wasn't the best thought through plan I ever had.
I've got the same problem with my garage gym as well. You can't get the temperature right. It's never right. It's either too cold or too warm. But it soon heats up in the winter, I've found, especially with the condensation and things. It can get quite grim outside as well, training. I don't know what it's like for you.
I basically bought one of those little fan heaters and I place it on myself as I warm up. And I wear gloves. That is how I've tackled the winter.
I might have to try that, the glove approach.
Oh, just for the warm up, and it just keeps you warm enough to get hot. And as soon as you're hot, it's fine, isn't it? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's the first 5 minutes with the barbell or dumbbell where it's absolutely freezing your hand off. And
you'd have thought we'd be used to it because it's the same in gyms.
Yeah,
but we're not.
I don't know if it's people using it before you in the classes that warm it up usually in the gyms. But mine's never felt that bad. I've really been struggling. And you could call me a little bit of a pussy, really. I have to put the bar down after 10 seconds and pick it up, do 15 and then put it down just to try and warm the bar up. It's sort of an emo.
I mean, obviously, us having the ability to train has like both of us think has massively helped through this period. But what about like having physical programming? Because when I started, I wasn't really following a program, and I found it quite like, it was fine because I was furloughed as well for a while, and you'd get in the morning and I'd write something and I'd be like, this is what I'm sticking to today. But that only lasts so long. And actually having a program gives you a kind of a real sense of, I'm definitely training today. This is a time and this is what I'm doing. It helps narrow your focus. I don't know whether you found something similar.
Yeah, definitely. The last thing I want to do after a long day at work is think about either programming myself in the gym or the night before or the week before. It'd be a big thought and a dread in my head that I'd have to program myself. And what's an even bigger reason I don't do that is because I wouldn't know what the hell to do. My background isn't in programming, it's not in nutrition, it's not in sports science, anything like that. So I'd be sort of leading myself down a dark alley, thinking I knew what I was doing, but realistically, I'd probably be making myself unfitter and in a worse state than what I started off. So for me, following a program like JST is really important. One, there's somebody telling me what to do that actually knows what they're doing. And two, it's again, I talked about it at work, but the sort of camaraderie with everybody else that's on the program. You know, well, by end of month one, once you start looking at JST, especially across Instagram, you know the people on it, you know the scores or the people to reach out to if you're struggling. And it is a little bit like a support network. And that's something that really helps me, knowing that other people are doing the same programming and going through the same minging workouts day in, day out, and we're in it together. So that's another reason why I like JST as well, just because of the people in it.
I mean, I know recently you've been advocating a lot for mental health awareness, and just, you know, increasing the visibility that as a, you know, strapping young lad, male CrossFitter, that it's actually, it's become such a cliche thing to say, but it's okay to, you know, not always be okay with stuff. I mean, for people who are struggling in this situation we're in, you know, it's the third time we're restricted to our houses. It's the third time that you might not have access to your full gym kit. That might be your, you know, piece of time that you used to have, the thing that made you happy, and it's just all gone, you know. And have you got any personal experience that you can share that, like, you know, where you were able to make sense of it all?
Yeah, definitely. And again, like I said about sports science and things, I'm an advocate for mental health. I'm not trained in it, so I can only speak from my own experience, as can a lot of people. But what really helped me, like you said, is doing that 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours per day. And if you don't feel like training, don't train. But what I always remember is you feel much better after, whether it's 10 minutes, then the next day build up to 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And before you know it, if you lose your mojo, you've got it back and you're training an hour a day. And then if you want to, and you're as daft as probably with us, and we train an hour, 2 hours a day, do it, because you feel much better after. But if you are struggling, it just takes baby steps to get back into it, I find. And just doing a little bit, like for instance, this morning, I know I was going to struggle to get some timing to train. So I've just been for a 2-mile run. That's it. And that might be everything I do today. And if it is, I'm happy with that. Just because I've done something, I felt great afterwards. So yeah, that's one piece of advice I'd have, is just take it in baby steps if you lose your training mojo. And I've mentioned it previous. A second one is create your own little training support bubble. We were all at sort of CrossFit boxes or gyms before, where hopefully you had member friends there, and they're still hopefully training as well, whether it's on your gym's class program. And a lot of gyms, like my old gym, Form Leeds, are doing sort of live video sessions, and they're great. I do them every Saturday morning, especially if the Saturday workout's horrendous with JST. That's my excuse to avoid it. I'm on the form class session. But yeah, create a group, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp. Put your scores in every day, cheer each other up, have a little bit of banter, or whether it's just messaging one of your friends. It really does help me just to still have that banter with people, although you're not at the gym, because that's another thing I miss a lot of. Just, again, winding people up and having that little bit of banter with people in the gym, as I'm sure you do as well.
Absolutely. One thing I found that I did in the first lockdown, I'm just sharing it because what you said is, I've done it less in these lockdowns, but I think it's just time, like, because we're back into full-time work despite being at home, things are a bit busier, but we would do partner workouts over Zoom. So I'd set my laptop up in the conservatory, and like, I know Gaz and Elle, who are friends of ours, would be on the other end, and then me and Mark, and we'd like tag each other in. So it would be a you go, I go through the computer, which is always really entertaining when Gaz didn't have the space and had to run outside to do his double unders. But yeah, like, and actually just having that interaction once a week was really, really lovely. It just kept you in touch with the world.
Yeah, I mean, we've done something similar on our Saturday workouts as well, whether it's me and Becky training together and going against other couples, and keeping that competition element and pushing each other that way, or whether it's like you say, we go on his own into the garage to train and there's somebody on the other side of the video tagging in. But what's even funnier on that is if there's any gym fails the other side of the video. Whether it's somebody tripping over the rope, tripping over a dumbbell, obviously ask if they're okay before laughing, but some ones I've seen have been absolutely hilarious, especially on the main gym channels. It's brilliant. I mean, you shouldn't be watching the screen, you should be focusing on either breathing or training, but sometimes if you know someone's on that other side that's clumsy, you've got to watch out. So that's sort of another thing I'd say to do if you're doing those Zoom sessions. Watch out for the fails, because they can make your day, especially in this current situation. It gives you something else to smile about.
Yeah, well, that's just it, isn't it? I think it's, yeah, I mean, follow the program. It massively helps having some sort of consistency and routine to life, but you got to remember, you got to make it fun. Like, you've got to find the reasons why you keep going back to do it. And of course, one of those is the euphoria of completing a workout and feeling the best you can be. But some of it's just like having a laugh.
Yeah, definitely. And you'll have seen from some of my videos recently, that's all I've been doing. Like, I mean, if it says, say, 50-foot handstand walk, my garage gym's 3 meters wide, so I've been walking from wall to wall and propping my legs on until I get there, and just making it a little bit more fun in them sessions, especially if you can't be bothered after a long day at work. It just makes it a little bit different. So again, another sort of thing I'd recommend is make your workouts fun where you can. Obviously not all the time, as you probably won't do anything.
Yeah, you need to get fitter. You need
to probably do some of it the normal way it should be done. But yeah, try and make it fun where you can.
But I actually, on that, there was one day, I can't remember what it was. These days are fairly regular actually in my life. If I had a long day of work and you really don't want to go in the gym, and I sat there, I was like, babe, I really don't want to train today. I'm just gonna have a quiet one, call it a rest day, blah, blah. And he was like, no, you're definitely training, but I'll do something different. And then what he did was, and I don't think this is unusual, it was basically like, I picked it out of a hat. He wrote, it was 50 reps of whatever exercise. I pulled out the hat. So then I pulled out the hat and I'd be like, oh yeah, I've got, ground to overhead, favorite movement. Bam, 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 bam. And then once I'd done 50, I was like, right, what's the next one? 50 devil's press. Ah, crap. Like, it was going so well. But yeah, that probably got me into it without it being a daunting task, because it was just that fun side of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think something like that, especially if you've picked your favourite movements, is usually brilliant.
That was by luck.
All right.
But no, totally agree. If you really don't want to do anything, start with your favourite movement and then tackle the programming.
Absolutely. Or if not, just cherry pick out your program. What your favourite movements are. We shouldn't be advocating this.
Don't cherry pick the program. Steve will kill you.
No, just on days like when it's one day a month and you're really feeling down, just pick the thing you want to do, and at least you've trained half an hour then. But similar to what you've just said, a good one is a deck of cards. So you've got 4 different workouts that recommend the different that represent the different suits, and then just pick a card out, and obviously that's the number of reps you do. The picture cards are obviously 11, and then the rest follow on, and it's pretty self-explanatory. But yeah, that's another good one to do, but it does take quite a lot of time if you do quite complex workouts that are difficult, just as a pre-warning.
Sounds like you speak from experience.
Definitely.
But no, lockdown, it's just, it feels at this stage, doesn't it? It feels a little bit never ending. Like Boris is updating us every 3 weeks or something. And yes, there is the hope of a vaccine. I had a lovely call yesterday from my elderly neighbour to tell me that she had finally got the okay to go and get hers, which is super sweet.
Oh.
I know, so nice for her to phone. Anyway, but it still feels a little bit never ending, especially to our age group, I think, because we're kind of far down the list. Do you think in these circumstances, in your personal experience, goal setting is a good way just to kind of drive us through from now to hopefully like a hint of normality?
Yeah, I think definitely. I set little sub-weekly goals, if you like, to get me through the week, I suppose, whether it's lockdown or not. And that could be something as simple as eating 90% of the meals I've prepped at the right time each day, or it could be adherence to something else, or it could even just be training 3 times a week. And that's just, especially depending on how you're feeling, a really good way to get through a week and to reset every week, and helps you plan ahead as well. It only takes 5, 10, 15 minutes, or however long time you want to give to it. But it really does help me focus, especially whether I've been slacking the previous week on a certain area, whether it's training, nutrition, even if it's work, turning up for meetings on time. With this, for instance, I was about 30 seconds, a minute late. That really wound me up. So one for next week with me might be all my work meetings, although this is not work. Just be on time, be 2 minutes early, be 3 minutes early. Make sure your video's set up and you're happy with the arrangements before you get on there. Obviously, that could be a really good one for me next week. But yeah, or whether it's do a 10-minute walk every morning, something as simple as that, just to make sure you're getting that fresh air and getting out of the house. So yeah, I find that short-term goals for me are more important than the long-term goals, especially at the moment. But I think out of lockdown, it was more sort of the monthly, 6-monthly, yearly goals that were important for me. Whether it'd be my open performance in CrossFit, which again, just to drop in there, since 2018, I think it's gone from 1500 UK down to 750 down, and then 1500 worldwide, just to add that in there, down to 750, and then down to 699, I think, in the last one worldwide, which was a top 30 UK performance. And for someone who works 8 to 10 hours a day and trains for 2 hours on a night, I don't think that's kind of a bad thing at all. and
That
to
is
take
not
down
too
some of
shabby.
these full-time athletes. Yeah, to take down some of these who call themselves full-time athletes makes it even more sweet. So, yeah, it's goal setting really does help, and that was a big focus for me previously, was the open performance and how I did in that. It's probably not going to be the case this year, as I'm being a little bit more realistic with things that have come up. Obviously, the training environment's changed a lot. I do struggle to train on my own in my garage gym, which we mentioned earlier, a little bit about the mental health. I much prefer to train with people. I've used to playing a team sport previously, which was rugby, having that camaraderie and dragging each other through, whether it's a horrible lifting cycle or a horrible workout, you're in it together kind of thing. And if your partner or your friends moving through it, you don't want to be last. You don't want to come last. You don't want to be that guy. So again, yeah, my overall long-term goals now have changed, especially with training. Now it's just, I think at the moment, I've not really thought about long-term goals for quite a while. Been focusing on the short-term ones. But for me now, I'd be happy with a top 100 UK, for instance, in the Open, just because I've not been pushing it and going down that route. So yeah, it is really important for me setting those goals, but more so the shorter term goals at the moment. I'm not sure how you find it as well, whether you've got any goals.
It actually sounds really bad, but I don't. I think until there's some sort of competition scene, I like having something to work towards, but until there's that to work towards, and I'm not someone who does well in the Open. I don't have muscle ups. So the Open for me is basically a write-off. I have fun, I go down to Friday Night Lights, and I like to be top in my gym, but you know, that's where my Open
So it is important.
Yeah, it's fun, and I'm super competitive, but I'm not good enough to compete with the country by like any stretch of imagination. But to have competitions to work towards, I love. And right now I'm setting myself challenges. So one of my good friends from work suffered a stroke, which is actually horrific. He's 28 and he is the life and soul of the party. And he, out of nowhere, on the way back from an OB, which is a football match, basically what TV people do on football matches outside broadcast, he just had a stroke and he lost the ability to speak, and he's having to relearn to speak, which is terrifying. So I'm biking 10k a day, or I'm doing something 10k every day, and biking is the easiest thing, which is why I do it. So it's like 20 to 30 minutes on the assault bike, 30 minutes on a push bike. It's about 45 minutes on a row, well, 45 to 50 minutes on a rower. It's and it's about an hour to run for me, because I am a very bad runner. So like every day I will make sure that 10k gets done. And not only is that helping my fitness and my consistency in lockdown, it's giving me a focus. It gets me out for my, you know, whatever it is, my hours exercise a day. The only thing it has done is it's made it harder to follow a program, because I'm having to dedicate my lunchtime out. I have a lunchtime hour and an evening hour, and I have to dedicate my lunchtime hour or half hour to doing that. But for January, when traditionally things can be a bit crap in your life, it's given me a short-term goal. Make sure it happens every day. That's it. Like, and eat well. Like, no pressure on yourself in this really awful time. February, I'll start picking it up, because I'm not really working towards the Open. So February, I'll start properly on the program again. And then by the time we get to like April, May, hopefully we might have something going on in the outside world, and I'll be fairly ready for it. Hopefully. But that's how I do it.
Yeah.
That's how I'm doing it at the moment.
Yeah, and I suppose that's probably why I haven't set those longer term goals, because I've got nothing to train for competition wise, like you've mentioned. And it's good you mentioned that now, as I've started to reflect in my head. That's probably why I haven't set any quite recently, and why I'm not as keen on the Open as well. But yeah, that's probably why I set those more shorter term goals, because they're more achievable and I'll achieve them. But yeah, I mean, charity challenges like that have been really popular, and that's probably the reason. It gives you that little focus, and that focus, obviously, for you is that 10k a day, and it's obviously really important and close to your heart. So Yeah.
So drives you to do it.
Goals
so
like
it means
that.
you get it done.
Real. Yeah, definitely. And you don't want to, obviously, you don't want to let the person down you're doing it for either. So you've got that little bit of motivation in there for that too.
Exactly. But anyway, I think this conversation has been great because it's like given some really tangible things that us real people are doing to kind of just keep ourselves in a good place. Right, before I let you go, the only thing I want to know is what is written on your CrossFit specific mug that you have had in front of you this entire time.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me about my t-shirt, which is why I was feeling my chest. I don't just grow up my chest usually. But on my mug, which is CrossFit specific, and I've only got it out for this call, is I clean, I jerk, and I have a nice snatch, which used to be more so the case than it is at the moment looking at my videos online, as I haven't really been focusing on mobility, but I still drink out of the cup, which is the main thing.
That is the main thing. Jay, thank you so much for taking the time to come and chat to us. It was bloody lush.
Oh, well, thank you yourself, and it went quite quickly actually. I was pretty nervous before. As I mentioned, I had a little nervous wee, but it went brilliantly. So thank you. Everybody who's on lockdown, hang tight, it's not going to be forever. We're going to get through this.